In the far west of Ireland, where the land meets the endless Atlantic, there exists a village so small and so remote that maps have forgotten its name. Here, the mist rolls in from the sea each evening, like a soft blanket being drawn across the world, bringing with it the salt-sweet smell of kelp and stone. The cottages huddle together against the wind, their whitewashed walls glowing gently in the fading light. Smoke rising from chimneys in lazy spirals that disappear into the grey and silver sky. This is a place where time moves differently, where the old ways still hold their power, where the boundary between sea and shore, between myth and memory, grows thin as gossamer in the twilight hours. And it is here, in this threshold place, that our story begins. A story of transformation and longing, of love that defies the very nature of existence itself. But there is no urgency here, no need to rush. Let us settle into this place slowly, breathing in the cool coastal air, feeling the ancient stones beneath our feet, hearing the eternal rhythm of waves against the cliffs. For this is a tale meant to be savoured like the mist, absorbed like the soft rain, received like the gentle blessing of the sea. Our story centres on a fisherman named Cillian, a man who has lived all his life in this village, who knows every rock and tide pool, every hidden cove where the seals come to rest. He is a quiet man, solitary by nature, content with the company of gulls and the whisper of wind through the marram grass. Each day he tends his nets and small boat, and each evening he walks the shore, watching the sun sink into the western ocean, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold and deepest purple. And each evening, though he does not yet understand its significance, a silver seal watches him in return. Cillian's cottage sits at the edge of the village, closest to the sea, with a view across the dark water that stretches unbroken to the horizon. Inside, his home is simple but warm, with a peat fire burning in the hearth, its earthy smoke sweet and comforting. The walls are lined with rope and nets, with sea-worn timber and the accumulated treasures of a life lived beside the ocean. But for all its comfort, there is a loneliness here, a silence that grows deeper with each passing year. Cillian has never married, never found someone to share these quiet evenings, and while he tells himself he is content, there are moments when the solitude weighs upon him like stones. And so he walks. Each evening after his work is done, after he has mended his nets and stored his catch, he walks the shoreline, following the curve of the bay to the rocky point where the seals often gather. He knows their patterns as well as his own, knows which rocks they favour, which hours they come to bask in the last golden light. But recently, in these last several weeks, he has noticed something unusual. One seal in particular, a beautiful creature with fur the colour of moonlit silver, has begun to appear each evening precisely as he arrives at the rocks. She watches him. There is no other word for it. While the other seals slip into the water at his approach, or simply ignore his presence, this silver seal remains perfectly still on her chosen rock, her dark eyes fixed upon him with an intensity that is almost human. At first, Cillian thought it merely coincidence, but as the days passed into weeks, he could no longer deny the pattern. She is waiting for him, watching him with a gaze that seems to hold questions he cannot begin to answer. Sometimes he speaks to her, softly, feeling foolish but unable to help himself. He tells her about his day, about the fish he caught, about the weather turning, or the way the light fell across the water. And the silver seal listens, tilting her head slightly, her whiskers twitching, her eyes never leaving his face. There is something in those eyes that haunts him, something that calls to the lonely places in his heart. One evening, as autumn begins to deepen and the nights grow longer, Cillian stops at the village pub before his usual walk to the shore. The pub is a warm refuge, its windows glowing amber in the gathering dusk, voices and laughter spilling out into the street. Inside, a handful of villagers sit by the fire, nursing their pints, and in the corner, old Seamus holds court, as he has done for more years than anyone can remember. Seamus is the village storyteller, the keeper of the old tales, and tonight someone has asked him about the seals. Cillian finds himself a seat near enough to listen, ordering a whiskey that he sips slowly, while Seamus's weathered voice fills the space. "Ah, the seals," Seamus begins, his eyes distant, looking into the fire as if reading the story written there in the flames. They're not all what they seem, you know. Some of them are older than old, and not entirely of the animal world. He pauses, letting the words settle, and the pub grows quieter, even the young ones leaning in to hear. They're called Selkies, Seamus continues, and they're creatures of two worlds. In the sea, they wear the form of seals, swimming through the deep waters, hunting fish, riding the currents. But when they come to shore, when the mood takes them and the moon is right, they can shed their seal skin like a cloak. And beneath that skin, they're as human as you or me, beautiful beyond measure, with the ocean's own magic in their eyes. The listeners murmur, some skeptical, others nodding as if they've heard these tales before. Cillian feels his heart begin to beat faster, thinking of the silver seal and her too knowing gaze. But there's a price, Seamus warns, his voice dropping lower. A Selkie's skin is their most precious possession. If they lose it, if it's taken from them, they cannot return to the sea. They're trapped on land, forever exiled from their true home. And there are stories, dark stories, of men who found a Selkie's shed skin and hid it away, forcing the Selkie to stay, to become a wife, to live a half-life of longing for the ocean they can no longer reach. The fire crackles in the silence that follows. But there are other stories too, Seamus adds, his voice softening. Stories of Selkies who chose to love, who walked on land freely for a time, who gave their hearts even knowing the pain that comes with loving across such boundaries. Those stories end differently, sometimes sadly, sometimes with a kind of bittersweet peace. But they all speak of love that is real, that is powerful, that is worth the risk. Cillian leaves the pub shortly after, his mind full of these tales, and walks through the darkening evening toward the rocks, where a silver seal waits in the twilight. The night is clear and cold, as Cillian makes his way along the familiar path to the shore, the stars beginning to emerge in the deepening sky above. His breath mists in the air, and the sound of his footsteps on the rocky path is accompanied by the eternal song of the waves. His mind churns with Seamus's words, with tales of Selkies and transformation, of love and loss and the spaces between worlds. Part of him wants to dismiss it all as fancy, as the superstition of old men with too much time and too much whiskey. But another part of him, a deeper part that recognizes truth beyond logic, knows that these stories hold some essential wisdom, some explanation for what he has been feeling. When he reaches the rocks, the silver seal is there, as he knew she would be. But tonight, something is different. Tonight, the air feels charged with possibility, with the crackle of magic about to manifest. The seal watches him approach, and in her dark eyes, he sees something that makes his breath catch. Recognition, intelligence, and something that might almost be hope. He sits down on his usual stone, and they regard each other in the starlight, the man and the seal, separated by a space that suddenly seems both vast and infinitely small. "I heard a story tonight," Cillian says softly, his voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter this fragile moment. A story about Selkies, about seal folk who can become human. The seal remains perfectly still, but something shifts in her expression, in the way she holds herself. "I don't know if it's true," Cillian continues, his words coming slowly, carefully. "I don't know if such things are possible, but if they are, if you are..." He trails off, not sure how to finish the thought, not sure what he's even asking. The seal slides from her rock into the water with barely a splash, and Cillian feels a moment of disappointment, thinking he has frightened her away. But she does not swim away. Instead, she surfaces just a few feet from where he sits, her silver head breaking the water, her eyes locked with his. And in that gaze, Cillian sees an answer, though he does not yet understand what it means. They remain like this for a long time, as the stars wheel slowly overhead and the tide begins to turn. The man on the shore and the seal in the water, connected by something neither can name, but both can feel. Finally, the seal dives beneath the surface and disappears into the dark water, leaving only ripples that spread and fade. Cillian sits alone on the rocks, his heart full of wonder and longing, and watches the place where she vanished until the cold drives him home. That night, Cillian dreams of the ocean. He dreams of swimming through deep waters, where the sunlight filters down in shafts of silver and green, where forests of kelp sway in the current like dancers, where silver shapes glide through the depths with effortless grace. He dreams of a voice calling his name, though whether it comes from above the water or below he cannot tell. And he dreams of transformation, of the moment between one state and another, that liminal space where anything is possible, where the boundaries that define us grow soft and permeable. When he wakes in the grey light of dawn, his pillow is damp with what might be spray from the sea, though his window is closed and the cottage sits well above the tide line. The dreams cling to him throughout the day as he goes about his work, checking his nets, sorting his catch, mending a torn sail. Everything feels different now, charged with potential, as if the world itself has shifted slightly and he is seeing it all with new eyes. The other fishermen notice his distraction and tease him gently, asking if he's in love, but they do not know how close to the truth they come. The day passes slowly, as days do when one is waiting for evening, waiting for darkness, waiting for a moment that may or may not come. But finally, the sun begins its descent toward the western horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose and violet. And Cillian, his work complete and his heart racing, makes his way once more to the shore. The silver seal is there, waiting on her rock, and when she sees him she makes a sound, a soft call that is not quite a bark, not quite a cry, but something that sounds almost like a greeting, almost like his name. He raises his hand in response, a simple gesture of acknowledgement, of connection. And as the last light fades from the sky and the stars begin their eternal vigil, the man and the seal remain together in their comfortable silence, two lonely souls finding solace in each other's presence, not yet understanding that their lives are about to change forever, that magic is gathering in the air around them, that transformation is near. But that is a tale for another night. For now, let us leave them here, in this peaceful moment, as the waves whisper their ancient secrets and the world grows soft and quiet. Let us rest here, at the edge of land and sea, at the threshold of the miraculous, and allow ourselves to drift into the gentle embrace of sleep, knowing that some stories are worth waiting for, that some magic unfolds slowly, that the most beautiful transformations happen in their own time, as natural and inevitable as the turning of the tides. And the waiting, as all patient waiting does, comes to its destined end. On a night when the full moon rises like a pearl from the dark velvet of the sea, Cillian finds himself drawn once more to the shore, to the familiar rocks where the silver seal has kept her vigil for so many evenings now. The air tonight feels different, charged with a quiet electricity, shimmering with possibility. The moon hangs low and luminous, casting a path of silver light across the water, transforming the ordinary world into something enchanted, something out of time. Cillian's footsteps are soft on the sand, his breath forming small clouds in the cool night air, and somewhere in his heart, without quite knowing why, he senses that tonight something will change. The waves whisper their ancient secrets, rolling in with their eternal rhythm, and the stars scatter themselves across the sky like diamonds on dark cloth, witnessing what is about to unfold. He settles onto his usual stone, smooth and cool beneath him, worn by countless tides, and he waits, just as he has waited before. But this waiting feels different, feels alive with anticipation. The silver seal is there, of course, floating just beyond the surf, her dark eyes catching the moonlight, reflecting it back like mirrors to the soul. But tonight, she swims closer than she ever has before, until she glides through the shallow water and emerges onto a flat rock, her sleek body glistening with seawater and moonlight. Cillian holds his breath, afraid to move, afraid to break whatever spell is weaving itself around this moment. The seal regards him with those impossibly knowing eyes, and in their depths he sees something that makes his heart quicken. Recognition, longing, and perhaps permission. The moon climbs higher, and the silver light intensifies, and the whole world seems to hold its breath along with Cillian, waiting for the impossible to become real, for magic to step out of legend and into the luminous present moment, where all transformations begin, where all stories of forbidden love find their first trembling courage, their first tentative step from the realm of dream into the realm of possibility, as natural and inevitable as the tide that now caresses the shore with its gentle, endless rhythm. And then, the transformation begins. Slowly, so slowly, like a dream unfolding in the gentlest possible way, the seal begins to move with a different intention, a different grace. Her flippers reach for the edge of her glistening skin, and Cillian watches, transfixed, barely breathing, as she begins to slip free from her seal form like someone removing a beloved coat. The skin peels back smoothly, revealing beneath it human skin, pale and luminous in the moonlight, glowing with an otherworldly radiance. First her arms emerge, slender and graceful, then her shoulders, her face, a face of such startling beauty that Cillian feels his heart might stop altogether. Dark hair tumbles down as she frees herself completely from the seal skin, cascading in wet waves over her shoulders, and she stands there on the rock, a maiden born of sea and moonlight, wrapped only in the silver glow of the night and the magic of her own ancient nature. She carefully folds her seal skin, handling it with reverence, with the tender care one might give to the most precious thing in all the world, and she places it gently on the rock beside her. For a long moment, she simply stands there, breathing the night air with her human lungs, feeling the cool breeze on her human skin, and Cillian cannot move, cannot speak, can barely think beyond the overwhelming wonder of what he is witnessing. She turns her gaze to him, and her eyes, those same dark, knowing eyes, meet his across the small distance that separates them, and in that meeting, in that moment of recognition, something profound passes between them, something that transcends words, transcends explanation. Slowly, moving with the natural grace of the ocean itself, she steps down from her rock, her bare feet touching the wet sand, and she walks toward him, unhurried, unafraid, as if this meeting has been written in the stars since before either of them was born. The moonlight loves her, caresses her form, illuminates her with its gentle radiance, and the waves seem to sigh with approval, rolling in and out with their soothing, hypnotic rhythm. Cillian rises to his feet, trembling slightly, not with fear, but with the overwhelming emotion of this impossible, beautiful moment. She stops a few paces away, and when she speaks, her voice is like the ocean itself, deep and musical, flowing with currents and mysteries. "I am Morian," she says simply, and her name hangs in the air between them like a blessing, like a promise, like the beginning of a story that has waited lifetimes to be told. Murayan, Cillian repeats, and the name feels sacred on his tongue, feels like something he has been waiting his whole life to say. "I'm Cillian," he offers in return, his voice barely more than a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter this fragile, miraculous moment. She smiles then, a gentle smile that carries in it the warmth of summer seas and the wisdom of ancient depths, and she takes another step closer. "I know who you are," she says softly. "I have been watching you, evening after evening, as you sat on these rocks and looked out at the sea with such longing in your eyes. I wondered, what is it you search for in the waves?" The question hangs between them, tender and genuine, and Cillian finds himself answering with an honesty that surprises him. "I don't know," he admits, his voice rough with emotion. "Something I've lost, perhaps, or something I've never had. A feeling of belonging, of connection, of being part of something larger than myself." Murian nods slowly, understanding lighting her beautiful features. "Yes," she breathes. "I know this feeling well. In the sea, I am surrounded by family, by my kind, by the endless blue embrace of home. And yet there is a loneliness there too, a yearning for something beyond the waves, beyond the life I have always known. When I watched you sitting here, so solitary and yet so present, so attentive to the beauty around you, I felt recognized, seen. As if you might understand this strange duality of belonging and not belonging, of loving one's world and yet wondering what else exists beyond its borders." They stand together in the moonlight, two lonely souls finding unexpected kinship on the threshold between land and sea, and the realization of their shared loneliness becomes a bridge between them, a connection that feels both fragile and incredibly strong. Cillian gestures to the rocks, inviting her to sit, and she accepts with grace, settling onto the smooth stone that still holds the warmth of the day's sun. He sits beside her, careful to maintain a respectful distance, though every part of him wants to move closer, to reach out, to confirm that she is real and not some beautiful dream. The waves continue their eternal song, rolling in with their soothing rhythm, and above them, the moon presides over this forbidden meeting with benevolent light. "Tell me about the ocean," Cillian says after a moment of comfortable silence. "Tell me its secrets, the things only your kind can know." And Murian, her eyes growing distant with memory and wonder, begins to speak of the deep places, the underwater gardens of kelp and coral, the songs of whales that travel for miles through the blue darkness, the ancient shipwrecks that have become palaces for fish, the way sunlight filters down through the water in shafts of pure gold, the quiet peace of gliding through cool currents, weightless and free. Her words paint pictures in Cillian's mind, vivid and beautiful, and he listens with rapt attention, feeling as if he is being given a precious gift, an invitation into a world he has longed to understand, but never could. As she speaks, her voice takes on the rhythm of the waves themselves, rising and falling, flowing and ebbing, creating a hypnotic pattern that seems to slow time, to expand the present moment until it feels infinite, eternal. When she finishes, he finds himself speaking in turn, telling her about the land, about the way morning mist clings to the green hills like silk scarves, about the smell of peat fires in winter and the taste of fresh bread, about the songs sung in the village pub and the stories told by firelight, about the sheep that dot the meadows like clouds fallen to earth, about the wild beauty of storms seen from the safety of a stone cottage, rain lashing the windows while the wind howls its ancient song. Murian listens with the same intense attention he gave her, her eyes never leaving his face. And in this exchange of stories, of worlds, they weave something new between them. A shared space that belongs neither fully to land nor to sea, but to both, to the liminal place where borders blur and new possibilities emerge. The night deepens around them, growing richer and more peaceful. And the moon continues its slow journey across the sky, patient and eternal. They talk for hours, though time seems to have lost all meaning, sharing not just stories but pieces of themselves, their hopes, their fears, their dreams, their sorrows. Cillian tells her about the death of his parents, about the loneliness that has haunted him since, about feeling like an outsider in his own village, never quite fitting in, never quite belonging. Murian speaks of the weight of her lineage, of being part of an ancient race with ancient responsibilities, of loving her family while sometimes feeling trapped by expectations, by the endless sameness of her underwater life, beautiful though it is. In their shared vulnerability, a tenderness grows, fragile and precious as a pearl forming in an oyster, layer upon layer of understanding and empathy, and something deeper still, something that might, if given time and care, become love. Neither of them speaks this word, not yet, not tonight, but it hangs in the air between them like the salt spray, like the moonlight, invisible but undeniably present. The waves continue their soothing rhythm, rolling in and out, marking time in the only way that matters here, in this enchanted space where a human and a Selkie sit together under the watching stars, sharing the loneliness they both carry, and finding in that sharing a connection that transforms solitude into communion, isolation into intimacy, the forbidden into the inevitable. As the night wears on, as the moon begins its slow descent toward the western horizon, a quiet understanding settles over them both. This connection they have found is rare and precious, but it is also forbidden, complicated, perhaps impossible. Murian must return to the sea before dawn. This is the nature of her kind, the covenant that keeps her world and the human world in balance. She cannot abandon her sealskin for long, cannot stay on land indefinitely without consequences that neither of them fully understands, but both instinctively fear. And yet, as they sit together in the deepening peace of the night, neither wants this moment to end, neither wants to break the spell that has woven itself around them. The waves continue their eternal rhythm, soothing and constant, rolling in with their whispered promises and rolling out with their gentle sighs. And the sound becomes a meditation, a mantra, a lullaby that begins to wrap them both in its soft embrace. Finally, as the first hint of grey begins to touch the eastern sky, Murian rises slowly, reluctantly, and Cillian stands with her, his heart heavy with the knowledge that she must leave. "Will you come back?" he asks, and his voice carries all the hope and fear and longing he feels. She reaches out then, for the first time truly touching him, her hand soft and cool against his cheek, and the sensation sends warmth flooding through him, despite the chill of the night air. "Yes," she whispers, and the word is a vow, a promise, a commitment that both thrills and frightens them both. "I will come back, with the next full moon, if I can, or sooner, if the tide allows and my courage holds. This connection we have found, I cannot simply turn away from it, forbidden though it may be." Cillian covers her hand with his own, holding her touch against his skin for just a moment longer, memorizing the feel of her, the reality of her. "I'll be here," he promises in return. "Every evening, I'll be here, waiting and watching for you." She smiles, sad and sweet at once, and then she turns away, moving back toward her rock, toward her sealskin that waits faithfully for her return. He watches as she lifts it with reverent hands, as she slips it on with practiced ease, as her human form is swallowed once more by her seal nature. In moments, the maiden is gone, and the silver seal looks back at him one last time with those knowing, soulful eyes, before she slips into the water and disappears beneath the gentle waves. Cillian stands alone on the shore as dawn begins to break, painting the sky in soft shades of cream and dusty rose and pale gold, and his heart is full of wonder and hope, and the sweet ache of new love. Forbidden love, impossible love, and yet love nonetheless, as real and powerful as the tide, as constant as the moon, as deep as the ocean itself, pulling him forward into a future he cannot predict but can no longer resist, drawing him deeper, deeper, into the gentle mystery of connection, of transformation, of two worlds touching and two souls finding each other across the boundary of the forbidden, as natural and inevitable as the turning of the tides, as soft and soothing as the rhythm of the waves. And so begins a pattern as ancient and inevitable as the tides themselves. A rhythm of night visits and moonlit meetings that stretches across the days and weeks like a silver thread woven through the darkness. Each evening, as the sun melts into the western sea and paints the sky in shades of amber and rose, Cillian makes his way down to the shore, down the familiar stone path worn smooth by generations of footsteps, down to where the rocks meet the water and the boundary between worlds grows thin and permeable in the gathering dusk. And he waits. Always, he waits with a patience he never knew he possessed, sitting on the cold stone, listening to the eternal conversation between wave and shore, watching the light fade and the first stars appear like distant promises in the deepening blue. And she comes. Always she comes. First as a silver shape moving through the darkening water, then emerging onto the rocks, where she has hidden her sealskin in a crevice known only to her. And then the transformation that still steals his breath no matter how many times he witnesses it. The sealskin slides away like water, like moonlight, like a whisper, and there she stands. Miriam, with her dark hair gleaming wet, her eyes holding the depth of all the oceans, her smile soft and secret, and meant only for him. Night after night, this pattern repeats, as soothing and reliable as the rhythm of breathing, as the pulse of blood, as the turning of the world beneath the endless stars. They meet in that liminal space where land touches water, where human meets Selkie, where the forbidden becomes undeniable. And with each meeting, their connection deepens, roots growing down through stone, through sand, through all the layers of loneliness and longing that have defined their separate lives. She tells him stories in a voice like water over pebbles, stories of the deep places where sunlight never reaches and bioluminescent creatures drift like living stars, stories of seal colonies singing to each other across miles of ocean, stories of ancient Selkie magic and the price of loving across the boundary of worlds. He tells her of his life, simple and small compared to her vast ocean realm, but precious in its own way. The smell of peat smoke, the taste of fresh bread, the sound of village musicians on festival nights, the feeling of solid earth beneath his feet. They share these stories slowly, carefully, like precious gifts exchanged in the darkness, and with each telling, each listening, the distance between their worlds diminishes just a little more. The waves wash in and retreat, wash in and retreat, a hypnotic rhythm that carries their voices, that cradles their growing love, that marks the passage of time in the oldest language of the earth. The moon grows full and then wanes to a silver crescent, and still Murian comes. Through calm nights when the sea lies flat as glass, reflecting every star. Through wild nights when the waves crash and roar and spray salt foam high into the air. Through fog so thick they can barely see each other, speaking in the whiteness like disembodied voices, finding connection in the mist. The constancy of her arrivals becomes a thread of certainty in Cillian's life. Something he counts on more surely than sunrise, more deeply than his own heartbeat. He learns the particular splash she makes, entering the shallow water near the rocks. He learns to recognize her silhouette against the star-scattered darkness, even before she transforms. He learns the rhythm of her breathing, the cadence of her speech, the particular way she tilts her head when she's remembering something from the depths. And she learns him as well. Learns the rough texture of his fisherman's hands, so different from the smooth bodies of seals. Learns the warmth of human skin, so much hotter than her own cool flesh. Learns the way his voice roughens when he speaks of his feelings, the way his eyes soften when he looks at her, the way he always brings her small gifts, a perfect shell, a piece of sea glass worn smooth by endless tumbling, a wildflower from the cliff tops. Their conversations stretch longer with each meeting, flowing like water, meandering through topics deep and shallow, serious and playful. Sometimes they speak of practical things, how she hunts fish in the deep currents, how he mends his nets and reads the weather in the clouds. Sometimes they speak of dreams and fears, her ancient obligation to her seal family, his fear of dying alone and forgotten in his small cottage. Sometimes they speak hardly at all, simply sitting together in companionable silence, shoulders touching, watching the endless dance of moonlight on water, breathing in rhythm with the waves. And sometimes there are gentle touches that speak louder than any words. Her hand in his, webbed fingers interlaced with calloused ones, his arm around her shoulders when the night air grows cold. Her head resting against his chest, listening to the strange, rapid beat of his human heart. His lips brushing her temple, her cheek, finally her mouth in kisses that taste of salt and longing, and the bittersweet knowledge that dawn always comes. These touches are tender, careful, reverent, each one a small miracle, a bridge between worlds, a defiance of the rules that say such love should not exist. The physical connection grows as naturally as their emotional bond, each gesture leading to the next, like waves building on waves, like the inexorable pull of the tide. But always there is the seal skin. It lies nearby during their meetings, draped over rock or folded carefully in its hidden crevice, a constant reminder of what she is, where she truly belongs. Cillian sees how her eyes drift toward it as the night deepens, how her attention begins to divide between his voice and the call of the ocean. He sees the moment when the pull becomes undeniable, when the Selkie magic in her blood insists on return, on transformation, on diving back into the deep waters that are her first home, her true home, no matter how strong her love for him may be. And he never tries to keep her. This is perhaps the purest expression of his love, that he lets her go, night after night after night. He never hides the seal skin, though he knows the stories the village elders told, knows that a Selkie without her skin is trapped on land, bound to whoever possesses it. The temptation whispers to him sometimes in the desperate hours before dawn, whispers that he could keep her, could make her stay, could bind her to his world permanently. But he silences those whispers before they can fully form. He loves her too much to cage her, to clip her fins, to deny her the ocean that flows in her veins like blood. So when he sees that distant look enter her dark eyes, when he feels her beginning to pull away, he helps her rise. He walks with her to where the sealskin waits. He watches as she lifts it with reverent hands, as she wraps it around her shoulders, as the transformation begins. So beautiful, it breaks his heart every single time. Woman becomes seal in a shimmer of moonlight and magic, and then she is sleek and silver, moving toward the water with an eager grace he could never match. She always pauses at the edge, always looks back at him with those deep, intelligent seal eyes. And in that look, he sees everything: gratitude, love, regret, longing, and the inexorable pull of her nature. Then she slips into the waves and is gone, leaving only ripples that spread and fade, leaving only Cillian standing alone on the shore as the first pale light of dawn begins to gather in the east. He walks back to his cottage in that strange light, exhausted and exhilarated, lonely and fulfilled, carrying the contradictions of forbidden love like stones in his pockets. He sleeps through the day, dreaming of deep water and silver seals, and wakes in the evening to begin the waiting once more. The pattern repeats and repeats and repeats, a rhythm as deep and ancient as the tides themselves, as soothing and inevitable as the cycle of moon and stars, as gentle and persistent as waves wearing away stone. Night after night, meeting after meeting, greeting and parting, human and Selkie, land and sea, love and longing, all woven together in a pattern that could go on forever, timeless and hypnotic and infinitely tender. The village begins to notice changes in Cillian, though they do not know the cause. He moves through his days with a dreamy distraction, a small secret smile playing at the corners of his mouth. His fishing suffers. He forgets to check his nets, loses track of the best currents, sometimes doesn't go out at all. But he doesn't seem to care about the reduced catch, the dwindling coin. He has found something more valuable than fish, more precious than silver, though he could never explain it to the practical villagers who have forgotten how to believe in magic. The old ones watch him with knowing eyes, the ones who still remember the stories, who still believe in the old ways. They see the salt dried in his hair, though he hasn't been fishing. They see the wonder in his eyes, the exhaustion of nights without sleep, the telltale signs of Selkie enchantment. But they say nothing. Some things are too sacred, too dangerous, too private to speak aloud. They simply nod to him in passing, and perhaps whisper small prayers to the old gods that this story might end differently than so many Selkie tales before it. Though in their hearts, they know how these stories always go, have always gone, will always go. Love across the boundary of worlds is a beautiful thing, but it is also a doomed thing, a temporary thing, a thing of stolen moments and inevitable heartbreak. Yet Cillian and Murian exist in a bubble of timelessness, believing somehow that their pattern could continue forever. In the depth of night, wrapped in each other's arms, listening to the eternal rhythm of the waves, it seems possible that nothing ever needs to change. She tells him about the great migrations her seal family makes, following fish through cold northern waters. He tells her about the changing seasons on land, the way spring brings wildflowers to the cliffs, the way autumn paints the hills in gold and crimson. They speak of the future in careful, hopeful terms. Perhaps she could stay a bit longer each night. Perhaps he could learn to swim in the cold waters and join her in the shallows. Perhaps love alone could be enough to bridge the impossible distance between their worlds. But beneath the hopeful words, beneath the tender touches and whispered promises, they both feel it, the shadow growing longer, the tide beginning to turn. Murian feels the call of the deep growing stronger, the pull of her seal family, the ancient magic in her blood, insisting that she cannot live forever in this between space, cannot keep dividing herself between land and sea, human and Selkie, love and duty. The ocean is patient, but it will not wait forever. It wants her back. It needs her back. She belongs to it in ways that go deeper than love, deeper than choice, deeper than the human concepts of devotion and desire. And Cillian feels it too, though he tries to pretend he doesn't. He feels her slipping away, even as she lies in his arms. He feels the inevitable approaching, like a distant storm, like the turning of the seasons, like all things that cannot be prevented, no matter how much you wish otherwise. The bittersweet knowledge colors their nights together, makes every moment more precious, every touch more tender, every parting more painful, and still they meet. Night after night after night, the pattern continues, even as they both sense the approaching change. If anything, the knowledge that their time may be limited makes their meetings even more intense, more focused, more deliberately treasured. They memorize each other with desperate attention, the exact curve of a smile, the particular sound of a laugh, the way moonlight catches in dark hair or reflects in deep eyes. They create a library of moments, storing them away against the cold future when they might be all that remains. Murian teaches Cillian the seal songs, the haunting melodies that carry through water for miles and miles. He learns to hum them in his rough human voice, and though they lack the purity of her singing, she closes her eyes and smiles when she hears them, touched that he would try to learn the music of her people. He teaches her a human lullaby his mother once sang, simple words about stars and sleep and the comfort of home. She sings it back to him in her water voice, and it becomes something new, something that belongs only to them, a hybrid of worlds like their love itself. They dance together on the smooth rocks, moving slowly to the rhythm of the waves, her bare feet and his boots, her grace and his clumsy human movements, all of it beautiful in its imperfection. They watch the stars wheel overhead and trace the constellations, discovering that seals navigate by the same stars that guide human sailors, one more small thread connecting their disparate worlds. They share food. He brings her brown bread and honey, and she catches fish with her bare hands and shows him how her people eat it raw and fresh. They share warmth on cold nights, wrapped in his coat, her cool skin gradually taking heat from his warm blood cooling slightly in her presence, both of them meeting somewhere in the middle. They share silence, those long peaceful stretches when words are unnecessary, when simply existing together is enough, when the sound of breathing and waves and distant night birds creates a symphony more beautiful than anything human composers could devise. The nights blend together into one long, eternal meeting, one endless conversation between human and Selkie, one hypnotic rhythm of arrival and departure, greeting and parting, love given and love returned. The waves wash endlessly against the shore, wearing away the stone grain by grain, patient and persistent and eternal. The moon rises and sets, pulling the tides in its ancient dance. And Cillian and Murian meet in the space between worlds, holding on to each other and onto these precious stolen moments, knowing that change is coming, but not yet, not yet. Not while the night still holds them, not while the waves still sing their eternal song, not while love still flows between them like the tide, like magic, like the most natural thing in all the world, despite its impossibility. The pattern continues, soothing and hypnotic and infinitely tender, rocking them both like the ocean rocks a sleeping seal, like the earth rocks through space, like all things move in cycles and rhythms too deep and too ancient to ever fully understand. And yet, as all things must, even the sweetest rhythms carry within them the seeds of change, the whisper of choices that must be made. Murian feels it first in the deeper tides, in the pull of the moon on waters that flow through her veins in ways that Cillian, for all his love, cannot fully know. She feels it in the morning, just before dawn, when she must return to her seal skin draped over the rocks, when she must slide back into the cold embrace of the waves. She feels it in the calling of her seal family, their voices echoing through the underwater caves and channels, asking without words where she has gone, why she lingers so long in the shallows, what has captured her heart in the world above. The question forms slowly, gently, like mist gathering over calm water. Which world does she truly belong to? Which love claims her soul? The ocean that birthed her, that has held her through countless moons and tides, or the tender human touch, the whispered words, the warm hearth light glowing in Cillian's cottage window. She sits on the rocks as the sun sets, neither fully seal nor fully woman in this liminal moment, this threshold time. The waves lap softly, patiently, rhythmically against the dark stones. Lap, lap, lap. The sound is ancient, hypnotic, asking nothing, offering everything. The sky deepens to violet and indigo, and the first stars begin their slow emergence, pinpricks of silver light in the darkening canvas above. Time seems to slow here, to stretch and soften like honey flowing from the comb. There is no rush. There has never been rush in the deep places of the world. She breathes with the rhythm of the tide, in and out, her chest rising and falling like the waves themselves. And in this breathing, she finds a kind of peace, a gentle space where the question can simply exist without demanding immediate answer. The seabirds have gone quiet now, settled into their rocky nests. The village lights begin to glow in distant windows, small and golden and impossibly fragile against the vast darkness of sea and sky. And still she sits, and still the waves continue their eternal song, and still the choice hangs suspended in the salt air, patient as stone, soft as water, inevitable as the turning of the tide. Cillian knows, without her speaking the words, that something is shifting. He sees it in the way she looks toward the horizon, in the way her fingers trail through the tide pools as if reading messages written in water and stone. He does not press her. He has learned, in his years beside the sea, that some things cannot be rushed, that the ocean keeps its own time, and those who belong to the ocean keep that time as well. So he sits beside her in the evenings, close enough that their shoulders almost touch, and he too watches the waves, and he too breathes with the rhythm of the tide. Sometimes they speak softly, their words simple and small against the vastness around them. Sometimes they sit in silence, and the silence is full and rich and says more than any words could hold. She tells him in pieces, in fragments that come slowly like shells washing ashore, about her life beneath the waves. She speaks of the green dark depths where sunlight becomes something else, something filtered and dreamlike, dancing in shafts through the kelp forests. She speaks of her seal family, her mother and sisters, her cousins, the old bull seals with their ancient eyes who remember storms from 50 winters past. She speaks of the songs they sing in the deep places, songs without words, made of clicks and calls and vibrations that travel through water and bone. She speaks of the freedom of diving, of swimming, of the weightless joy of moving through that other world where humans cannot follow. And as she speaks, her voice takes on the quality of waves, rising and falling, repetitive and soothing, describing the same sensations in different words, circling around the truth at the center of her heart, the truth that she loves both worlds, the truth that she belongs to both and to neither, the truth that choosing one means losing the other, or does it? Does it truly? The question drifts between them, unanswered, soft as sea foam. Cillian listens, his weathered fisherman's hands resting on his knees, his eyes reflecting the last light of the sun sinking into the western waters. He understands loss. He has known it intimately, has felt it in the empty spaces of his cottage, in the long, lonely years before she came. And perhaps because he understands loss, he understands too that love sometimes means letting go, means accepting what cannot be held too tightly. The waves continue, endless and patient. Lap, lap, lap against the shore. The sound is everything and nothing, is white noise and ancient music, is the heartbeat of the world itself, steady and sure and infinitely calming. Night after night, Murian returns to the same spot on the shore, to the threshold between worlds, and she contemplates. The contemplation itself becomes a kind of meditation, a gentle, repetitive practice that soothes even as it questions. She watches the patterns in the water, the way moonlight breaks and scatters on the surface, silver fragments dancing and reforming, never quite the same, always essentially identical. She watches the way the tide comes in, slow and inevitable, covering rock after rock, erasing footprints in the sand, filling the dark pools with fresh cold salt water. And then, hours later, the tide retreats, just as slow, just as inevitable, revealing the same rocks, the same sand, the same pools, everything familiar and renewed. There is a lesson in this, she thinks, though the lesson comes not in words, but in the deep feeling knowledge that lives beneath language. The lesson that nothing is truly fixed. The lesson that boundaries are more fluid than they appear. The lesson that the shore itself is a place of both, and rather than either or, is both land and sea, belongs to neither fully and to both completely. She begins to understand that she too might be a threshold creature, might live in the space between, might move with the tides themselves. The thought brings a curious kind of peace, a softening in her chest, like ice melting into spring water. She does not have to choose in the way she thought she did. She does not have to sever one love to honor the other. Love is not a finite resource, not a single path, not a door that closes behind you forever. Love is more like the ocean itself, vast enough to hold contradictions, deep enough to contain multitudes, fluid enough to take whatever shape the heart requires. She breathes this knowledge in, breathes it out, lets it settle into her bones, her blood, her being. The waves whisper their agreement. Yes, they seem to say. Yes, yes, yes. The rhythm is hypnotic, deeply soothing, a lullaby older than memory. Time continues to slow and stretch and soften. How long has she been sitting here? Hours? Days? Weeks? It hardly matters. The moon crosses the sky in its ancient arc, The stars wheel slowly overhead, and she sits and breathes and knows, gradually, gently, what her heart has been trying to tell her all along. She belongs to herself. She belongs to the love that flows through her. She belongs to the choice she makes, again and again, moment by moment, tide by tide. And that choice can be both. That choice can be the threshold itself. That choice can be the rhythm of arrival and departure, the eternal pattern of connection and return. When Murian finally speaks her decision to Cillian, the words come softly, slowly, like water finding its path through stone. She tells him she will not leave forever. She tells him she cannot stay forever. She tells him she will come and go with the tides, with the seasons, with the deep calling of her seal nature and the equally deep calling of her human heart. She tells him this is the only way she knows to honor both truths, to live in integrity with all that she is, seal and woman, ocean creature and land lover, wild thing and tender heart. And Cillian, beautiful in his acceptance, in his deep fisherman's wisdom about the ways of the sea, simply nods. He reaches for her hand, holds it gently, and says he will be here. He will be here when she comes. He will be here in the cottage with the light burning in the window. He will be here on the shore in the evenings, watching for her silver seal form in the waves. He will be here, waiting but not desperately, loving but not grasping, holding space for her return without demanding it. This, he understands, is the nature of loving someone who belongs partially to another world. This is the bargain one makes when one loves a Selkie, a seal maiden, a creature of transformation and threshold. You must love with open hands. You must trust the pattern of return. You must believe in the tide that goes out and comes back, goes out and comes back, goes out and comes back, eternally, rhythmically, reliably, as the moon pulls the waters of the world. They sit together in the quiet that follows this understanding, and the quiet is complete, is restful, is everything it needs to be. The mist begins to roll in from the sea, soft and grey and gentle, blurring the edges of the world, making everything slightly indistinct, slightly dreamlike. The boundaries between air and water, between sky and ocean, between human and seal, between staying and going, all of it softens, blurs, becomes less sharp, less painful, less impossible. The mist holds them in its gentle embrace, and they breathe it in, the salt and the moisture, the ancient smell of kelp and stone, and they are peaceful. They have found the answer, or the answer has found them, or perhaps there was never really a question, only a journey toward acceptance, toward understanding, toward the deep knowledge that love does not always look the way we think it should, but it is real nonetheless, perhaps even more real because of its unusual shape. The waves continue their eternal conversation with the shore. The rhythm is everything. The rhythm is steady. The rhythm is sleep itself, pulling gently, insistently, kindly toward rest. And so the decision settles into place, like sand after a wave, like stones worn smooth by centuries of water, like all things that were always meant to be exactly as they are. Marianne will go and return and go. She will swim with her seal family in the green dark depths, will hunt the silver fish through the kelp forests, will dive to the bottom of the sea where ancient things sleep in the sand. And she will also return to shore, will shed her seal skin on the familiar rocks, will walk on human legs to Cillian's cottage, will sit by his fire and hold his weathered hands and speak of the mysteries that live between their worlds. This is how it will be. This is how it is. This is the pattern emerging, the rhythm establishing itself, eternal and renewable as the tides themselves. There is such peace in this understanding, such deep and abiding calm. The evening darkens fully now into true night, and the stars are brilliant overhead, countless and cold and beautiful, distant lights that have been shining since before Selkies and humans walked these shores, and will shine long after. The waves lap and lap and lap against the rocks. The sound is hypnotic, infinitely soothing, each wave like the one before it, like the one that will come after, like all waves that have ever touched this shore, like the breathing of someone deep in peaceful sleep. Lap, 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 soft and endless, regular as heartbeat, ancient as time. Murian and Cillian sit wrapped in shared silence, wrapped in mist, wrapped in the gathering dark, and they are content. The story has found its shape. Their love has found its form. It is not the form that tales usually take, but it is theirs, and it is true, and it is enough. more than enough. It is everything. The mist thickens, the night deepens, the stars wheel slowly overhead in their cosmic dance, and all is well. All is calm. All is exactly as it should be, as it was always going to be, as it will continue to be, cycle after cycle, tide after tide, return after return, in the gentle, endless pattern that rocks all things to sleep, that carries all things home, that whispers in the language beneath language, that love, real love, true love, finds a way, always finds a way, like water finds the sea, like the Selkie finds the shore, like the sleeping mind finds dreams, soft and deep and infinitely restful, drifting now, drifting down, into peace, into acceptance, into the gentle dark, where all questions dissolve, and only the rhythm remains, the eternal rhythm, the waves, the breath, the tide, the sleep. And so the rhythm continues, the eternal rhythm, the rhythm that has no beginning and no ending, only the gentle pulse of the tides that bring Murian back to the shore, back to Cillian, back to the boundary between her two worlds. She comes with the high tide, as regular as moonrise, as certain as the turning of the earth. The silver seal appears in the waves, swimming close to shore, her dark eyes reflecting the moon, and Cillian waits on the rocks. Always waiting, always watching, their love made eternal by its rhythm, by its pattern, by its gentle repetition that soothes like a lullaby, like breathing, like sleep itself. The seal reaches the shallows, where foam and sand meet, where sea becomes shore, and in that liminal space, that threshold between elements, she transforms. The seal skin slides away like water, like silk, like moonlight falling, and Miriam emerges, stepping onto the sand with bare feet that remember the earth, that welcome the cool dampness, that ground her in this world, even as her heart remains forever divided, forever whole, forever at peace with the division. They embrace on the shore, these two lovers, and their embrace is soft, gentle, unhurried, for they have learned patience, they have learned acceptance, they have learned that love need not possess to be real, need not bind to be true. Cillian's arms encircle her carefully, reverently, and she leans into him with the trust of the tide that knows it will always return, that knows the moon will always pull it home, that knows all patterns are sacred when they come from the deep places of the heart. They walk together along the midnight shore, hand in hand, speaking in low voices that blend with the whisper of waves, the sigh of wind, the soft sounds of night. What do they speak of? The same things, always the same gentle things. The beauty of the stars reflected on dark water, the silver path the moon makes across the waves, a road between worlds, the warmth of human touch and the freedom of the ocean deep. Simple things, eternal things, things that bear repeating, like prayers, like promises, like the words we whisper to ourselves as we drift towards sleep. The hours pass slowly, peacefully, each moment expanding into spaciousness, into calm. They sit on the rocks where they first met, watching the waves roll in, roll out, roll in, roll out, the eternal rhythm, the rhythm that carries all things, the rhythm that asks nothing but acceptance, nothing but presence, nothing but the gentle release of struggle. Murian's head rests on Cillian's shoulder, her dark hair spilling across his chest like seaweed, like silk, like shadows. His hand strokes her arm slowly, softly, the same gentle motion, over and over, a touch that speaks of devotion without words, without need, without anything but this moment, this peace, this quiet love. And when dawn begins to whisper at the edges of the world, when the stars start to fade and the sky shifts from black to deepest blue, Murian rises. She rises slowly, reluctantly, but without sorrow, for she knows she will return. She always returns. The pattern is eternal, the rhythm is unbreakable. She walks to the water's edge, to that liminal space, and lifts her seal skin, her other self, her ocean nature. She looks back at Cillian once more, and her smile is peaceful, accepting, full of love that needs no words. And then she slips the skin over her shoulders and becomes seal again, becomes ocean creature, becomes the silver shape that slides beneath the waves. Cillian watches her go, watches the silver seal swim away into the deep. And there is no sadness in his watching, only peace, only acceptance, only the quiet knowledge that she will return. She always returns. With the tide she comes back, with the moon she comes back, with the rhythm that governs all things she comes back. And so he returns to his cottage, to his simple life, to the work of his hands, and he carries her with him in his heart, in his breath, in the gentle calm that has settled over his soul like morning mist. The days pass softly, quietly, each one blending into the next like waves, like dreams, like the hours of deep sleep where time becomes meaningless, becomes fluid, becomes nothing but the present moment extending forever. Cillian mends his nets with patient hands, the same motion repeated endlessly, over and under, weaving, repairing, creating pattern from chaos, order from tangles. The work is meditative, rhythmic, soothing, and as his hands move, he thinks of Murian. But even his thoughts are gentle, easy, without grasping, without longing that hurts. She is with him even in absence, present even in the space between visits. The village goes about its rhythms too, the eternal rhythms of coastal life, of fishing and mending and storytelling. The elders sit by fires and tell the old tales, the Selkie tales, the stories of seal folk and the humans who loved them. And now Cillian is part of that ancient pattern, part of that mythic weaving, his story becoming the same story that has always been told, that will always be told, that echoes back through generations, like waves echoing in sea caves, like breath echoing in sleeping lungs. And then the tide turns. Always the tide turns. Evening comes, and the moon rises, and Cillian walks to the shore, walks the familiar path his feet have worn smooth, walks with the inevitability of the tide itself, drawn by love, by pattern, by the sacred rhythm that connects him to Murian, to the sea, to the deep mysteries that have no name but only feeling, only knowing, only the wordless wisdom of the heart. And she is there. She is always there when the tide is high and the moon is bright. The silver seal waiting in the shallows, the dark eyes watching, the ancient soul recognizing its mate across the boundaries of form, of element, of world. And again, the transformation, the shedding of the seal skin, the emergence of the maiden. And again they come together on the shore that belongs to neither land nor sea but to both, the threshold, the meeting place, the sacred space where love transcends all boundaries. They speak the same gentle words, share the same soft touches, walk the same moonlit beach. And the repetition is not tedium but comfort, is not monotony but meditation, is the deep peace of knowing what will come, of surrendering to pattern, of allowing the rhythm to carry you like the tide carries the seal, like breath carries the body towards sleep. Each visit the same, each visit unique, like waves that are all one wave, all the same wave, the eternal wave that has been rolling since time began and will roll until time ends. Murian tells him stories of the ocean deep, the same stories she has told before, stories of underwater gardens where kelp sways in slow currents, of seal colonies gathered on hidden rocks, of the songs that echo through the deep places, the wordless songs, the ancient songs. And Cillian tells her stories of the land, of spring flowers and autumn mists, of cottage fires and village festivals, of the simple human joys that she can taste but never fully claim. And both know these stories, have heard them countless times, but they listen with fresh peace each time. For the stories are not about information, but about connection, about presence, about the gentle sharing of breath and time and love. The years pass, but time moves differently here, in this place of pattern, in this space of rhythm. Time becomes circular, not linear, becomes the turning of tides rather than the march of days. Cillian's hair grows silver like the seal, like moonlight on water, but he does not age in wariness, only in wisdom, only in deepening peace. And Murian remains unchanged, ageless as the sea itself, eternal as the tides. Her beauty not diminished but deepened by the countless visits, the countless transformations, the countless moments of love freely given and freely released. Each time she arrives, it is the first time. Each time she departs, it is not an ending, but a continuation. The pattern has become so deeply established, so profoundly ingrained, that it feels as inevitable as breathing, as necessary as sleep, as natural as the moon pulling the tides across the surface of the world. This is not a story of happily ever after, but of happily ever during, of joy found not in permanent possession, but in sacred repetition, in the rhythm that asks nothing but presence, nothing but acceptance, nothing but the willingness to show up again and again to the shore, to the threshold, to the meeting place. The village knows, though nothing is spoken. They see Cillian walk to the shore each night when the tide is high. They see the peace in his face, the calm in his movements, the gentle contentment that radiates from him like warmth from a banked fire. And they understand, in the wordless way that ancient communities understand ancient patterns, that he is blessed, that he has found the rare thing, the mythic thing, the love that asks nothing but gives everything, the love that transcends form and time, and all the small prisons we build with our fears. On the shore, under the endless moon, Murian and Cillian rest together in comfortable silence. Words have become less necessary over time, over the countless visits, for they have said all that needs saying, and discovered that presence speaks louder than language, that touch communicates more than words, that simply being together, breathing the same salt air, listening to the same waves, is enough, is everything, is the full expression of love in its purest form. The waves roll in, the waves roll out, roll in, roll out. The rhythm so constant, so reliable, so deeply soothing, that simply listening becomes a form of meditation, a form of prayer, a form of surrender to something larger than the small self, larger than individual desire, larger than any single story. The ocean breathes, and they breathe with it. The tide turns, and their hearts turn with it. Everything connected, everything flowing, everything part of the one great pattern that holds all things in its gentle, inevitable rhythm. Murian's hand rests in Cillian's hand, fingers intertwined, skin touching skin, and in that simple touch is the whole story, the whole truth, the whole teaching. That love need not possess, that joy need not cling. That connection can exist across boundaries, across worlds, across the very elements themselves. If we are willing to meet at the threshold, willing to honor the pattern, willing to release our grip and trust the rhythm. Her thumb traces slow circles on his palm, the same motion over and over, a touch that lulls, that soothes, that whispers of infinite patience, infinite acceptance, infinite peace. And when she leaves, when dawn comes and she must return to her sealskin, to her ocean family, to her other life, Cillian walks back to his cottage with lightness in his step, with fullness in his heart, with the deep satisfaction of one who has learned the secret, the ancient secret that the Selkie tales have always taught. That love is not about holding, but about honoring, not about keeping, but about returning, not about possession, but about pattern, rhythm, tide, the eternal dance of coming and going that is the heartbeat of all life, all love, all truth. The pattern continues. The pattern always continues. This is the comfort. This is the peace. This is the deep restfulness that settles over the story like fog over water, like sleep over the tired body. Murian comes with the tide, leaves with the dawn, comes with the tide, leaves with the dawn. The repetition is not empty but full, not boring but beautiful, not mechanical but sacred, like the waves that never tire of meeting the shore, like the moon that never tires of pulling the tides, like the breath that never tires of filling the lungs. On some nights, the sea is calm, mirror smooth, reflecting the stars like a second sky, and Murian swims through liquid starlight to reach the shore. On other nights, the sea is restless, white-capped, breathing heavily, and she rides the wild waves with the ease of one born to water, born to motion, born to the dance between chaos and order. And Cillian is there for all of it, in calm and in storm, in bright moonlight and in clouded darkness, his constancy matching hers, his rhythm aligned with hers, two beings breathing together across the boundary of worlds. They have learned to speak in silence. Sitting together on the rocks, watching the horizon, they communicate in the language of presence, of proximity, of peaceful coexistence. His shoulder touches her shoulder. Her hand rests on his knee. These small contacts say everything that needs saying. I am here. You are here. We are here together. This is enough. This is everything. This is the fullness of love without demand, without need, without the anxious grasping that destroys so many human bonds. Sometimes Murian sings, soft and low, songs in the old language, the Selkie language that is half human speech and half seal song, and the sounds wash over Cillian like waves, like blessings, like lullabies sung to calm a restless child into deepest sleep. The melody rises and falls, with no clear beginning and no clear ending, circular like the tides, hypnotic like the rocking of a boat on gentle swells. And he closes his eyes and simply receives, simply allows, simply rests in the beauty of her voice, the ancient voice, the voice that carries the wisdom of the deep, the dark, the vast unconscious ocean where all life began and to which all life returns. The stars wheel overhead in their own slow dance, their own eternal pattern, and the lovers below mirror that cosmic rhythm in their small, human, precious way. They are part of it all, part of the great pattern, not separate, not special, not exempt from the laws that govern tides and stars and the turning of seasons. And there is deep comfort in this, deep peace in recognizing their place in the pattern, in surrendering to it, in allowing it to carry them as the current carries the seal, as the wind carries the scent of salt and stone. Cillian has grown old now, truly old, though the years are impossible to count in this timeless place, this threshold between story and dream. His hands are gnarled like driftwood, his face weathered like the rocks, but his eyes are clear, peaceful, free from regret, free from fear. He has lived in rhythm with the tides, in harmony with the pattern, and it has given him something rare, something precious, something that most humans search for their whole lives and never find. The deep acceptance, the quiet joy, the peace that surpasses understanding. And Murianne, unchanged, eternal, touches his weathered face with her smooth hand, and her eyes hold infinite tenderness, infinite gratitude, infinite love. They both know, without speaking, that his time is drawing close, that soon he will make his own transformation, not from human to seal, but from life to whatever lies beyond. And there is no fear in this knowing, no resistance, only the same acceptance they have practiced all these years, the same surrender to the rhythm, the same trust in the pattern. And so, we come to the place where the story becomes sleep, where the words dissolve into rhythm, where meaning gives way to pure sensation, pure peace, pure rest. Murianne comes with the tide. The waves roll in, roll out, roll in, roll out. The moon shines silver on the dark water. The stars wheel slowly overhead. Everything moving in the great pattern, the eternal pattern. The pattern that has no beginning and no ending, only the continuous now, the eternal present, the moment that extends forever. The seal appears in the waves, swimming closer, closer, reaching the shallows. The transformation. The maiden. The shore. The embrace. The same embrace, always the same, always new. And they sit together on the rocks, on the threshold, on the boundary between sea and land, between sleeping and waking, between story and silence. And time stops, or time becomes irrelevant, or time reveals itself to be the illusion it always was, and only the rhythm remains, only the pattern, only the breath, only the tide. The waves whisper their endless secret. Hush, hush, hush. The sound of water meeting sand, the sound of breath meeting sleep, the sound of consciousness releasing its grip and allowing the gentle drift down into rest, into peace, into the deep dark welcome place where all souls go to restore themselves. Murianne's voice joins the whisper of the waves, singing softly, wordlessly, the ancient Selkie lullaby, the song of the deep, the song of return, the song that calls all things home. Cillian's breathing slows, deepens, becomes rhythmic as the tide. And perhaps he is sleeping, or perhaps he is waking, or perhaps there is no difference anymore in this liminal space, this magical space, this eternal space where Selkie and human meet, where love transcends form, where all boundaries dissolve like salt in water, like mist in morning light, like thought in the deep peace of sleep. The pattern continues, will always continue. Murianne coming with the tide, leaving with the dawn, coming with the tide, leaving with the dawn. Forever and ever, the rhythm, the dance, the sacred repetition that soothes all pain, answers all questions, resolves all conflicts. There is nothing to solve, nothing to fix, nothing to change, only to accept, to allow, to rest in the pattern, to surrender to the rhythm, to trust the tide. And now the story drifts, drifts like the seal in the gentle current, drifts like thought in the moments before sleep, drifts into the soft darkness, the welcome darkness, the darkness that holds all things with infinite gentleness. The words becoming fewer, the images becoming softer, the boundary between story and sleep becoming thinner, thinner, until there is no boundary at all. The waves, the breath, the tide, the sleep, all one rhythm now, all one pattern, all one gentle, eternal, infinitely peaceful dance. Murianne and Cillian, the Selkie and the fisherman, the seal and the shore, the sea and the land, the story and the listener, all dissolving into the pattern, into the rhythm, into the tide. Roll in, roll out, roll in, roll out. The waves continue their work. The moon continues its pull. The stars continue their slow wheel. And somewhere between sea and shore, between waking and sleeping, between story and silence, love continues its quiet existence, needing nothing, demanding nothing, simply being, simply breathing, simply resting in the eternal now. And you can rest too. Rest now. Let the story hold you like the sea holds the seal. Let the rhythm carry you like the tide carries the water. Let the pattern enfold you like the darkness enfolds the sleeper. There is nothing more to do, nothing to understand, nothing to remember, only to drift now. Drift down, down into the deep, down into the peace, down into the gentle, eternal, infinitely restful sleep. The Selkie finds the shore, the tide finds its rest, the story finds its silence. And you find your sleep, deep, deep, deep sleep, in the rhythm of the waves, in the peace of the pattern, in the eternal dance of sea and shore, forever and ever and always, sleeping now, sleeping, sleep. Thank you for listening tonight. If this story helped you drift off, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more calming stories. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you next time.